Can we run through some injury updates? Valeri Nagbe, we saw that Ridgewell was also, he tweeted that he was on a treadmill today. I think Alvis Powell was back in practice, but looked like he was hurting a little bit. So can you run through some of the injuries?
Who do you want to know about?
Valeri.
Don't have a clear answer on him yet. We'll know more tomorrow.
So questionable for the game at this point?
We'll know.
Okay.
We'll know tomorrow. Yeah.
What about
I can't tell you. You know me in here. If I have the information, I'll tell you. I don't have it. I'll know tomorrow. He didn't train today.
And what about Nagbe?
Same.
And what
Same.
about Ridgewell? He wasn't in training. What's the reason?
Ridgewell just, because he's played 2 back-to-back 90-minute games after 6 weeks, we just felt in managing his chronic load that, it was important to give him an extra day, not on the pitch.
So he's good to go, just took an extra day.
Yeah.
And then Powell was back today, so he's fine after the game.
Yeah, there's no injury. Yeah.
Blanco obviously got his first goal of the season in Dallas. How big is it for a player like him to kind of get that off his back, and how big is it to see goals coming from so many different guys this year?
Yeah, I think first and foremost with Blanco, it's great to see him play well. And he's had a lot of games where he's played well, and ultimately people will measure him on the goals. That is a part of his role, his scoring goals, and he's chipped in assists as well. But it's great to see him contribute in a lot of different ways. His work rate, his possession, and then goals. So it's great to get kind of the complete picture of what he brings to the table. And I thought he had a very good game versus Dallas, and that was a big reason why we got the result in that game without Valeri. Fine wheel. You're going to wear the kit now.
I'd be too big.
Sure. I'll take it back. You want it back? I'll bring it back to you. So far, so good on the road. What's been the change with the road form, obviously, from last year, where it's so tough to not crack? And, again, so far, so good for you guys.
Yeah, back to the baseline. We've been one of the best teams in the road. When you look at, I think we've lost the least amount of games of any team in the road over the last 4 years. So last year was an anomaly. First 9 games of the year, we had 6 draws. We didn't get that, first win. A lot of that had to do with also being injured on the road. So when you look at historically speaking in 13, 14, 15, obviously last year was a complete anomaly with the amount of wins we've had on the road and the amount of losses. So I think we're back to the baseline, just doing what we always do.
What are you seeing in Jeff, too? We saw him obviously start the last 2 matches, and you made some dynamic saves, too. That's why you guys brought him in here, to have a capable backup when needed.
Yeah, we felt he was, I'm hesitant to say the best backup in the league because I think he's a starting goalkeeper on a lot of teams, but we felt in getting him from Salt Lake that he was capable of stepping in and doing what he did in the last 2 games. He's done in the last 2 games. The only reason he wasn't the starter at RSL is because he had arguably the best goalkeeper in the history of the league in goal ahead of him. So it's great to see him step in and get the job done, and it seems like every single time we put a guy in every position, that they seem to be getting the job done. And that's great to see, and it continues to reinforce our depth, and we'll need it. And we've used it a lot. We're sitting where we're at only because we have a better bench this year.
Yeah, when you look at that, you see 10 different guys that have scored goals. I mean, it leads the league, obviously, as a coach, as a staff. You look at up and down the line. You obviously are intrigued and enjoy what you have, the fruits of the labor in the offseason, to have enough bodies that are all capable of scoring.
Yeah, and I think, again, that was what we wanted. That's the way that we like to build our rosters. We want depth. We need depth. We've always been a team that's the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, individual parts. So 15's great. I've said that a bunch. We won it with a squad. We didn't win it with a couple players or 11 guys. We won it with a squad, and we're kind of back to that this year. And I said it at the end of the year, that was the problem. And it's good to see that obviously our bench is tested and we're stepping up and we're getting points, and that's exciting too, because when we get completely healthy, because we've had, a little bit of a hodgepodge last several games. Adi out, Larry out. We really haven't been able to put the full 11 together. Ridgie was out 6 games, and who knows, Nagby out. So that's a scary thing to see. When we actually get healthy, we start to build more and more continuity. But no matter what happens, we know we can get the job done with whoever we have in.
Coach, I know here he's appreciated, and you won't feel this way, but do you think Adi might be a little underrated league-wide, considering what he's done now year after year?
Yeah, hard to say. I think certainly based off of just the the big awards, he hasn't been an all-star. I don't know what other people think, and coaches around the league. When I talk to them, they rate him very highly, but definitely from the big awards standpoint, he hasn't maybe gotten enough credit. But certainly here, in our locker room, from my standpoint, I wouldn't trade him. I think he's very unique. You don't see a big body like him that can move and run the channels and also hold the ball and also get on the end of crosses. And, he's a really unique number 9 striker.
Coach, is there a different mentality at all when it comes to road matches this year versus last year? I know that depth and talent right now is really leading the charge, but is it just different once you get one?
Yeah, I think there's something to be said about that. Like I said, in the first 9 games last year, we were right there. 6 draws. You don't get 6 draws on the road if you're not playing well. We were playing well. We were right there, and you see, we typically play well on the road. We have a good mentality. It starts with that. We're organized tactically. You have to have those 2 things in your team to win on the road, and we usually have a great mentality, and we're usually very organized, and that's why we're one of the best road teams. And last year it started that way, but we gave up a few late goals, if you remember last year, that cost us the 3 points, and on a few occasions cost us a point. And I think that psyche started to just build, and you get a little bit more pressure, monkey on your back. And, I also think it had something to do with we kept winning at home, too. We had, I think it was 13 home wins, which is the most we've ever had. So there never was that, maybe that little bit extra pressure to go and win on the road, as the season went on. And then, you put those 2 things, those dynamics together, and, it just meant for a strange year. But it's great to be able to get our first 2 wins on the road, and to be able to show that 13, 14, and 15, was the baseline this year, baseline last year. Strange.
It kind of speaks to where the team's at, that you go to Dallas and people are talking about disappointment for not getting the 3 points. Even though you didn't get the 3 points there, I mean, how big of a statement is to be able to go on the road and, go toe-to-toe with a team that's been so good there under pretty tough conditions?
Yeah, they don't lose much there. They don't give away points much there. I think we're the first team to score 2 goals on them there in a while. There was a lot of talk about Dallas not playing well. You always have to factor the opponent in, and I think sometimes that doesn't get factored in how people talk about games. They didn't play well because we played well, and we were very organized, and they had a hard time breaking us down. And looking at KC, that match that they played to this game, a couple things that show our execution is Morales had 82 touches. In the KC game, he had 32. In our game, they had 15 open play crosses in the KC game. They're a team that likes to get crosses in. They had 5 in our game. So that shows execution on our part defensively. Obviously, we gave up 2 goals, but I thought we were unlucky on the goals. I thought overall we really did a good job of disrupting what they look to do. And so I look at it less about them not playing well, more about us playing well and executing, and that's great to see.
A fourth of the way through the season, given where you guys are, does it kind of even raise your expectations for potentially competing for Spurs Shield? and competing for the top of the league? Or are you just really not trying to focus on things that come at the end of the season?
Yeah, I mean, we talk about our goals at the start of the year, and I would say we're not raising expectations. We always have expectations to win trophies, and there's only a few ways you can win trophies. So we don't ever go into the year saying we're not gonna win a trophy. So those are always the goals, long-term goals, and the players know that. But short-term, you have to focus on each game and the preparation and trying to win every game. But we do have, kind of quarterly reflection meetings where we look at KPIs and, see where we're at, whether or not we're on track in between that range of playoffs and Supporter Shield. And we're on a good run right now. We're on a good track. So we're not going to deviate from the short-term preparation process, win the next game. But after the first quarter of the year, we're in a good position and on track, and now we have to keep performing. But 1.9 points per game, which is typically 1.8, is Supporter Shield. But again, we're not going to think about, can't take your eye off the ball. We're not going to think about Supporter Shield. We're going to think about winning the next game.
When you look at San Jose, you obviously have Wando. But I mean, for you, what are the big things you're telling the team in preparation for this game?
Yeah, good team. I've never played a Dom Kinnear team that was easy. Never been in a game versus his team that was easy. He always gets his team ready and prepared and up for it. They haven't lost at home. They've played 4 games at home. They have 2 wins, 2 draws. They've had the last 3 games on the road, so they'll be eager to get back at home and get points. They obviously had a win in the last game, which I think will help their confidence. So those are all the things. I think it'll be a difficult game, extremely difficult game. They're tough to beat at home, and people talk about they've dropped some points at home. Well, they haven't lost at home either. And in the last 6 games, they've cooled off a little bit, but 4 of those 6 are on the road. So sometimes those get lost in the shuffle of, okay, they're struggling. They've been on the road 4 or 6. And to be honest with you, they've showed a lot of resiliency. When you look at their last 2 home results, they were draws, but they scored a late goal in both of those games to pull out a result. So that always shows good locker room spirit, fight. And they've made some really good additions this offseason with some pieces that I think have helped complement some of their other, really good pieces up the spine like Wando and, Godoy and Seren. So I think it's going to be a difficult game, really difficult game.
Is there a point of emphasis on being able to close out and put a team away, especially after the last match? We feel like we probably should have left with 3 points. You leave with 1, get a chance, and you're just talking about them kind of coming back and to a draw. Is there any point of emphasis on that at all?
I think it's always interesting because, obviously if we're down in the game, we score a late goal, everybody's happy. And if you're up in the game and then you give up a goal, everybody thinks you drop points. You know what I mean? So I always find that narrative interesting. But, I thought it was a good point, good result. To be honest with you, I was very pleased in the first half. I thought it was one of our best halves of the year, certainly on the road, the way we managed the game. We had the wind. I think when you look at the conditions, they had the wind second half. I think that played into it a little bit. But I was pleased with the start, scoring the first goal. I was actually very pleased with our composure when they leveled it at 1-1. Then I was pleased that we went 2-1. That shows, our push, that we had that push to go and win the game on the road. And then I was pleased at 2-2 as well. We didn't look rattled. And so, you say close out a game. I think we closed out the game pretty well to get the point after we conceded to go 2-2. And I would say we're very unlucky not to win the game in the 90-plus minute. Maddox cross, if it's maybe an inch higher, it gets over Walker Zimmerman, and Jack Barmby walks the ball in. We win the game. So, again, I thought our push was to win the game, and you saw that visibly at 0-0. You saw it at 1-1. You saw it at 2-2. you know, and we didn't find the goal to get the 3, but I thought we kept our composure really well when we did concede. That was something we couldn't do last year. Last year we'd concede a goal and, you know, we would concede another one, you know, and we didn't have that composure to, you know, kind of calm the game down. And I thought we were unlucky on the goals. I really do. I look at the first goal, you know, Ridgewell blocks a shot, it kind of bounces to D, and Acosta tackles it, and then, you know, Maxey hits just a, you know, unbelievable goal. You got to say it's more a great goal than it is a bad goal on us. And then I thought on the second goal as well. I mean, Alvis, if he doesn't slip, he's heading it out. You know, but when I looked at the trends of defending transition, which was key, defending wide, those 2 things were really key. That's how we gave up the 2 goals. But I don't think the goals were indicative of us executing in those 2 themes, those 2 points of emphasis. But overall, we were outstanding in those 2 areas, and that was always going to be important versus Dallas.
Everybody good?
I forgot about Aspa Gleason, his status for the weekend.
Sorry, I'm sorry, missed that one.
Sorry, Gleason's status.
Gleason. Yeah, Gleason's healthy, available, was trained all week.